So, as you know, our topic is city tourism. But before we get into that, can you share with us your assessment of Sri Lanka as a destination for today's travelers?
You know, if you look at Sri Lanka, it was always perceived as a pearl in the Indian Ocean. And that has been a huge attraction in terms of travelers who are seeking experiences. And today's travelers are seeking experiences more than just the sun, sea and the sand experience. I think they want to connect to the culture, they want to connect to the cuisine, they want to connect to the locals as well. And also Sri Lanka offers a lot more variety of experiences. With the government hopefully spending a bit more in terms of promoting the high-end tourism, the tourism industry itself and the related industries to the tourism actually becomes it plays a very significant amount in terms of the country's GDP. So I would say we as hoteliers, together with the private sector and the government sector as well, you know, we need to promote the destination, because now the destination is coming back quite strong as a value travel for all the different travelers as well. Because Sri Lanka is quite a small, you know, in terms of size, you know, it's so easy to get around.
Up and down, yes.
And you know, within few hours you're from a beach to an upcountry experience, like, you know, enjoying the tea trails and the tea plantations and the estates as well. So, and the weather changes as well. With today's technology, I think that helps a lot. So there's a lot of flexibility, and city becomes a drop-in, and also it becomes a hub and spoke as well, where people come to the city and then they travel to the resorts, or they travel to the cultural heritage places, or they travel up country and they can hop around and enjoy multitude of experiences.
It's an all-in-one bundle.
All in one, yes, yes.
Tourism is booming in Sri Lanka and city tourism looks very promising. We spoke about all of this and more with Dillip Rajakarier. Stay tuned.
Some bonds give more returns. Get more security and more interest on your fixed deposits from Sri Lanka's largest finance company, LMDtv Finance.
The latest issue of LMD International is available at lmdmall.lk. You can also access the digital version on Press Reader, Maxter, our social media platforms and WhatsApp.
Hello and welcome to LMDtv. The topic of conversation today is city tourism, and I'm here with the Group CEO of Mine International and the CEO of Mine Hotels, Dillip Rajakarier. Dillip, very nice to have you on our show and welcome.
Thank you, and it's great to be on the show. So thank you for inviting me as well.
So, as you know, our topic is city tourism. But before we get into that, just to give our viewers an idea of what we're talking about, can you share with us your assessment of Sri Lanka as a destination for today's travelers?
Sure. I think, you know, if you look at Sri Lanka, it was always perceived as a pearl in the Indian Ocean. And that has been a huge attraction in terms of travelers who are seeking experiences. And today's travelers are seeking experiences more than just the sun, sea and the sand experience. I think they want to connect to the culture, they want to connect to the cuisine, they want to connect to the locals as well. And also Sri Lanka offers a lot more variety of experiences. I think the good thing is, you know, we see Sri Lanka has, of course, it's gone through some ups and downs. We see the tourism numbers are starting to improve, which is quite good. Yes. We see that the visa-free travel has been like for about 35 countries. So that also encourages travelers to travel to Sri Lanka as a destination as well. We see the culinary experience also becoming quite a highlight. And I think, you know, with the government hopefully spending a bit more in terms of promoting the high-end tourism, you know, I would say that's that's what we need, and also promoting and adding more of the infrastructure as well. I think there's a lot of investment which needs to be done because Sri Lanka, the tourism industry itself and the related industries to the tourism actually becomes it plays a very significant amount in terms of the country's GDP and also foreign exchange as well. So I would say we as hoteliers, together with the private sector and the government sector as well, we need to promote the destination because now the destination is coming back quite strong as a value travel for all the different travelers as well.
Thank you for that introduction, Dillip. Like you correctly said, we have the traditional sun, sand and sea, and then culinary delights, and basically a very bountiful bouquet of offerings. So when we focus on city tourism per se, and like you said, focusing on the high-end traveler, what prospects of the island do you think are the most significant?
I think city becomes a draw-pin in terms of bringing the tourists arriving at the city, because I think the city itself offers a variety of experiences, whether it's the culinary experience, whether it's the spa and wellness, including Ayurvedic treatments and all those things. And then, people can then go and rest or have their experience at the resorts as well. And in the resorts, and again, going to the resorts, you can stop, for example, because Sri Lanka is quite a small, in terms of size, it's so easy to get around.
Up and down, yes.
And, within few hours, you're from a beach to an upcountry experience, like, enjoying the tea trails and the tea plantations and the estates as well. So, and the weather changes as well. And then you can go visit, if you take Kandy, for example, that becomes another attraction because it's a UNESCO protected area. You have the relic of the Buddha, the tooth relic as well. And I always compare, Sri Lanka has almost the same types of attraction as Thailand. Today, Thailand attracts more than 40 million tourists, and it has grown significantly over the years. So therefore, there is no reason for Sri Lanka to also have those experiences, which we do have. We have the cultural experience, we have the heritage experience, we have the culinary experience, we have the spa and the wellness experience. And I think from a city perspective, it would be also good to have the MICE, which is the meeting incentives, the conference business as well, because today's travelers, we call it the B leisure. They combine business with leisure. So a lot of the travelers, they love to travel on business, and then they would take a break, or they even work from the resort, because you can work from anywhere these days. And I think with today's technology, I think that helps a lot. So there's a lot of flexibility, and city becomes a drop-in, and also it becomes a hub and spoke as well, where people come to the city and then they travel to the resorts, or they travel to the cultural heritage places, or they travel up country, and they can hop around and enjoy multitude of experiences.
It's an all-in-one bundle.
All in one, yes.
Okay. Dillip, you very interestingly drew parallels between Sri Lanka and Thailand. So I'm going to ask a slightly different question though. When you look at Sri Lanka, especially since everybody is traveling now, the travel sector globally is increasing. So when we look at Sri Lanka versus our regional and of course neighboring players, what differentiates us?
I think there are three things. One is, I would say, it's a compact city experience. The country is so small, as I said. You can get around within few days or hours actually, for a multitude of variety of experiences, which includes, us as a destination. And I think we are now seeing there's a lot of new attractions coming as well, especially with the casino complex now coming up. There's more focus around wellness as well. I think Sri Lanka is always known for its Ayurvedic wellness concepts as well. And it's also hails in terms of its culinary experience, because the spices in Sri Lanka is to die for. And I think, because you have different taste buds and you have different variety of taste as well, and that really enriches the today's traveler in terms of enjoying the city experience and enjoying also a resort experience as well within a certain kilometer or radius of this thing. So that's why I think the urban resort combination, the mix, works really well in Sri Lanka, because you don't have to fly too long, or you don't have to take a flight even, it's a driving distance. And I think, as I said before, if we can improve the infrastructure and the logistics within the country, that makes a seamless travel for today's travelers, because not a lot of people would love to fly, because I think they want to see the country by road as well, and experience and do the different stopovers, and also enjoy the variety of experiences, which actually within a few kilometers it keeps changing all the time.
Zooming in a little to the actual travelers and the guests. Now, I know Sri Lanka, we attract a range of travelers from the backpackers to the ultra-high segment. So when it comes to city tourism, Dillip, who would you say are the most promising segments?
I think every single segment is important these days. You need to have the high-end luxury travels. At the same time, you also need to have the backpackers as well. Because one day, these backpackers are the ones who are going to enjoy the luxury segment as well. Because, of course, as students, we go backpacking and we discover new countries, new destinations, new experiences, and that sticks in our mind all the time. And when we can afford, as we get older, or when we can afford a bit more, we always tend to trade up, from. So I would say we should cater for every single type of traveler, but also every single part of traveler also has different expectations as well. The backpacker has a totally different expectation to the high-end luxury traveler, because the high-end luxury traveler is all about seamless travel, all about creating that luxury stay. The MICE business is very important. It's a very important segment, because if you look at the travel, you have the high season, low season, and the shoulder season and the peak season. But you also need the base during the low season, where you want this MICE business to come in. You want the groups to come in. You want the backpackers to come in. And then during the high season, of course, you will enjoy with the luxury high-end travelers. So I think there is a fine balance, and it needs to be balanced carefully, because what you don't want is over-tourism, and what you don't want is to kill the natural beauty of the country as well, where you want people to come, you want people to spend the money, and you want them to enjoy the local experience as well. I think it's very important.
A very delicate balance.
It's a very delicate balance. I think, a lot of the hotel sector operators don't really get it, because, you need to work, this is where the private government partnership becomes important. And the government also needs to promote the destinations which are important based on the different seasonality. Like, say, for example, during Feb, you will have to promote the Chinese traveler and the Chinese luxury travel as well. During the European holiday season or Easter break, you will have to shift gears to the European segment. And then during the shoulder season, you will have to promote the groups, the incentive tours, and also the MICE segment as well. And then, of course, during the festive, then you have the Europeans, you have the Chinese, you have the Russians, you have the Indians. I think where Sri Lanka is today, I think it's got the luxury of being padded by two of the most powerful economies and also the most powerful travelers of the world. You have India sitting on one side with about 1.3 or 1.4 billion population. You have China sitting on the other side with about 1.3, 1.4 billion. And that's that's a lot of tourists, who would love to visit Sri Lanka as a destination, provided we can offer the experiences, provided we can offer the luxury travel. And that's important. And I think one of the things is we've always said is that if, for example, you're promoting the MICE or the big corporates or the big investors to come into Sri Lanka, the seamless travel is important. And we always say, if, for example, if you go to the Maldives during the high season, you go to the airport is like a taxi rank full of private jets. Again, how do we bring that to our country, to Sri Lanka, to make sure that we can do the same. You know, people should be able to fly in their private jets. People should be able to, within 5 minutes, get out of the plane and get to the destination where it's easy access and it's a seamless travel as well. As soon as these levers are pulled and as soon as things start to churn, you know, I think in the past we always say people call Sri Lanka as a discount destination. You know, it's all about discounting. And Sri Lankans have been used to that, you know, and when you look at some of the local hotels, all they do is discount.
Yes.
You know, and
promotions.
It is promotions, and I always say, like, you know, some of the discounts, like, you know, you charge $20 or $30 for a room. You know, in London, I cannot get from my home to London. You know, it will cost me £25 by train. You know, so, but when you're promoting it as a discounted destination, you are undervaluing the country. But not only that, you're not then attracting luxury travelers, because you know, they want to go to destinations where they feel there is a value add, they feel that there is a luxury experience, and they feel that it's a seamless travel as well. I think it's really important. This whole private public partnership becomes a key in terms of driving tourism, and it's important that we both, you know, end up working together in promoting tourism in the regions where we really need those travelers to come into Sri Lanka.
It's time now to take a very short break, but we'll soon be back to talk more about city tourism.
What makes a truly awesome insurance company? Is it the skills to manage big numbers and big responsibilities? Well, that's definitely part of it. But there's more. It's the people. They're awesome. Super passionate about looking out for others and putting in their time for people's finances. It's not just the people. It's how we do things that's awesome. From being trendsetters of the industry to being connectors or inventors. It's about well-being and how we achieve it. Our teams hustle non-stop to meet the needs of the people. That's why we're on the rise. But it's not just about how we do things either. It's about how we improve things. Helping our clients thrive in a world that's full of awesome goals to achieve. Making the maximum out of the minimum. But wait, there's more to it. There's one last thing that truly makes an insurance company awesome. It's that we care about our people and our customers. All of this combined, it's been a pretty awesome year. And we're excited for tomorrow.
Display your brand message on digital screens at prime locations. The largest digital advertising network in Sri Lanka. Emerging Media.
Welcome back to the show. We're speaking about city tourism with the Group CEO of Mine International and the CEO of Mine Hotels, Dillip Rajakarier. Dillip, you spoke of balancing segments and balancing times. I'll also ask you about how we can balance local and international competition, because we're seeing a lot of local, yes, tourism was down, but now we're seeing the hotels coming up again. And we're also seeing a lot of attention from international players who are coming in. So how should the destination really balance these two types of players?
I think at the end of the day, the destination itself will balance itself, because I always believe in, competition actually promotes innovation. It drives innovation, which means, it doesn't only put pressure on the luxury international hotel operators, but it also puts pressure on the local operators as well to lift the game up. I think it's really important. As long as the international the international hotel brands and the local hotel brands don't drive a race to the ground. Yes. So when I say race to the ground, what happens is, the luxury brand comes in and the local brands, what they do is they start to discount. So
Price
then
competition.
you're racing to the ground, and it's not healthy for both the luxury end traveler or the luxury the international brand and also the local brand. We both have to survive. I think it's really important, because I always believe in local competition is good, because the local experience is fantastic. They can provide also that ultra boutique experience. And yes, the luxury travelers will bring people from outside, which promotes the destination. I always love to have all the luxury brands coming into the destination, because that, if we today as Anantara or Avani or NH Collection, we have the bandwidth to promote the brand only so much. But if 10 of the luxury brands come into this country, that is 10x, and you're promoting these locations far much better than one
single
person.
brand.
So I always believe in, when you, hopefully 1 + 1 will become 5. And that's important. Whether it's a local brand or whether it's an international brand, it's really, really important. And both brands have to survive. And both brands have to find a niche where they can survive as well. There are some fantastic local brands here today, in Sri Lanka, in addition to some of the international brands, because they're able to cherry pick some of the fantastic destinations and provide that really local, authentic experience, which sometimes the luxury brands will not be able to do. We've learned a lot, from some of the local brands in countries where we enter into. So I think it's always a give and take, and also promoting each other, which is important, because at the end of the day, the local brands need to survive, and we need to help them to survive. And it's not racing to the ground, it's racing to the moon, and trying to see how we can promote the destination as a top-end luxury destination instead of a discounted destination. As I said, I think it's really important. And there are so many touch points, the touch points in terms of wellness, the touch points in terms of the culinary experience, the touch points in terms of the wildlife. Sri Lanka also enjoys fantastic wildlife experience as well. And then you have some of the fantastic beaches as well. So I think these are some of the, in addition to the culture, in addition to the temples, in addition to all these other things, it's a menu of experiences which Sri Lanka can offer, and both local and international brands should be able to capitalize and draw each other and promote each other as well.
Dillip, I love the 1 + 1 and the synergy that you were talking about between local and international. When we talk of international players like NH, how should they really commit to the destination, whilst of course keeping and maintaining their international traveler appeal?
I think it's really important that the international brands respect the local architecture, the local community, and also the local experience as well. I think that's really important. Sustainability becomes a key issue in this case, because we're not trying to drive over tourism and kill the natural beauty of the country. It needs to be controlled. It needs to be managed in a most sustainable way as well. I think it's really important, not just for our generation, but also for the future generations to come. There needs to be a work method in terms of ethics, in terms of corporate governance, and also investing in this country as well, because like some of the when we look at some of the tour operators or some of the what we call online tour operators, they drive a lot of business to the countries, but they don't really invest in that country, because they don't even pay the taxes in the local countries. The money is taken outside, and there is no investment going in terms of people. I think talent is becoming very important, especially for Sri Lanka. There's been we always call it, there is a war on talent. And the reason there is a war on talent is there are so many hotels opening. In the case of Sri Lanka, a lot of people and a lot of good talent have left the country due to various reasons, whether it's political instability, whether it's, some of the country issues we've had in the past, which is quite sad. But I'm sure, you have some of the best talents who want to come back. So I think, developing people, developing talent, investing in people also is key if not just the tourism industry, but every single industry has to grow in the future. And also educate the local culture and the locals as well, how we can enhance the offering, how we can invest a bit more, how you can, get a better return and lead a better lifestyle as well, because it's all about, at the end of the day, it's all about being successful, right? And making sure that not just our generation, but also the future generation is successful, but it needs to be sustainable. So I think that's where, like sometimes, in the old days, I feel quite sad, we have some of the best wildlife experiences here.
Yeah.
We operate some of the best luxury camps in Africa. It's under our brand called Elawana. But we work with the local government, we work with the local parks, and it's very sustainable. Unlike in the old days here, you go to some of the wildlife parks here, it's so much of trash, and it's not good for the animals. And it's not good, it's not sustainable, because sooner or later, these animals will disappear. And that is one of the country's assets. And so how do you, so there are, if it's planned properly, you can have a fantastic experience. Look at what's happening in Rwanda today, in terms of the gorillas. It's very controlled. There are only so many licenses issued for a year, and it comes at a cost. You pay $1,500 just to go and see a gorilla for a period of few hours. But it's controlled. It's seen as an attraction, but also there are some rules in terms of what you can do, so that you don't spoil what you have.
Habitat, yes.
The habitat as well. So I think so there is so much we have to do and invest, but the investment needs to go in terms of people, in terms of learning, in terms of training, innovation, technology, all these things, which will then help to build up the infrastructure for the industry as well.
So Dillip, thank you very much for an insightful conversation and for touching a lot of things within a very short period of time. It was lovely having you.
No, thank you. And thank you for having me. And I'm glad we could share some of the insights in terms of tourism. I think Sri Lanka is a destination we are very passionate about. We came into Sri Lanka in 2006. And also for me personally, Sri Lanka has become a personal destination because I was born here. And I think it's really important for us to promote this, as I say, it's a pearl in the Indian Ocean, and we need to promote it carefully, and we need to launch the destination again.
We're hoping for the best.
Thank you.
We've been in conversation with the Group CEO of Minor International and the CEO of Minor Hotels, Dillip Rajakarier. Dillip, thank you for an insightful and very interesting conversation.
Thanks very much. It was great to be on your show.
And thank you to all our viewers for joining us. Until next time, take care.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram and X. Thank you for watching and stay safe.